everyone, welcome back to my home studio. This is my day 28 of my quarantine distraction videos that I've been doing for my students and for all of you, just to get us thinking a little bit more creatively about clay and a little less about the things that are happening in the world. Today's video is a super simple exercise in working with a technique called Mishama. Now, Mishama I'm going to describe as being the opposite of sgraffito. A week or so ago, I did one of my eggs with sgraffito where I did black underglaze and then I did a design carving through it showing the white clay body under the black underglaze. Mishama is going to be the opposite. In Mishama, you actually carve your unfired clay first, then you put your slip, or in the case of one other one, I'm showing underglaze as well, you fill the little carving with that, then I kind of let it set up, then I scrape it away and then sponge it away, and you get a pretty cool result. Now this technique, or this particular egg, let me focus that, this one had a really nice outcome. This was with the black slip, and I made some pretty chubby lines on there because I wanted to see if my black slip would indeed fill the lines, and what I was left with after I cleaned it was a really nice smooth surface that I'm excited about. This is what I wanted to get with Mishama. I wanted that smooth surface. I did try another one, and I'm not crazy about the design, but the technique was just where, let me focus on this. Hopefully that's focused. On this one, I wanted to show using underglaze with the lines. Now these lines are a lot skinnier because I figured underglaze would be able to fill those lines a little bit better. This one, the lines you can still see, they're still sharp and crisp, but what I'm not as crazy about is I definitely have the texture. And what I wanted to go for was the super smooth texture. So it really depends on which kind of effect you want, but hands down, I'm a little bit more of in favor of the slip. I will have some future videos on doing some more Mishama kind of projects because I'm really enjoying this. These were purely just experiments just to show you kind of quickly how to do it. Okay, so I hope you enjoy. Drop me any comments below in the comments or questions if you have them. I'll try to get to them as quickly as I can, and I hope you all stay safe, stay healthy, and keep potting if you can. For the first of the two examples, I'm just using a small needle tool or a ball stylus tool, and I'm just creating several small thin lines. This is going to be the egg that I'm using the underglaze with. Because the underglaze is thinner, I wanted to have thin lines in hopes that it could go in there. I'm cleaning off the debris and the edges of the carved areas before I do the underglaze. So you can see here I've carved it, I've cleaned off any burrs that I have, and now I'm ready to apply the underglaze. The underglaze usually would take 3 to 5 coats, and on this one I believe I put about 3 to 4 coats on it. And then I have to kind of let it sit and allow it to dry for a couple hours. Of course, because I'm choosing to do one of the eggs that I had thrown, it makes it a little bit more challenging. If you have a flat bottom item, of course, it would be much easier to put the underglaze on. Now, I am going ahead and I'm starting the carving for the other one. Now, this is the one that I'm using the slip on. And I'm using one of the Kemper triangle tip mini ribbon tools. So my lines are going to definitely be thicker than what I made with the needle tool and the ball stylus. But the thing I love about that tool is it helps to clean out. I made a mistake there, so I was just trying to fix it. And now I am using a needle tool and I'm putting some thinny skin lines in one of the patches. And now I just cleaned off the edges of the lines where I would have had a raised burr that I wanted to make sure that I took care of. Now that the carving is clean, I'm ready to apply the slip. I'm going to use slip, and this is the slip that I prepared earlier with the mason stain, the black mason stain in it. I'm going to put this on in my lines kind of generously. I want to get it really down in there, kind of filling those lines. Obviously, you only need to get it in the lines. My form is so small and my lines are pretty much all over, so that's why I'm covering pretty much the whole thing. 2 eggs that I carved and then put the underglaze and the slip on are at the point now where I should be able to go ahead and start to clean them off. Now, I'm going to try 2 different methods, and I'm not too sure which one is going to work best. Again, this clay is grogless stoneware, so it's a B mix. So as I go to clean it, I shouldn't have a lot of problem with grog scratching. So the first way that I'm going to try is just a flexible small mud tools rib. Now as I do this, I can see that perhaps I'm getting a little bit of clay that's in some of those grooves. So I just want to make sure that I'm trying to clean it as best as I can. Now with a little bit of clean water, I'm just going to lightly go back over it and try to get a little bit more of that out of the lines, the stoneware I should say. I'm not trying to get the underglaze out of the lines. And every time I make a swipe with the sponge, I'm making sure that it is a clean portion of the sponge. And just a little bit of high-speed scraping and cleaning here. There we go. So that is with underglaze. Now there's still a little bit of a texture that is apparent, like it's not exactly flat. And we're going to try this one too. This one is the one where I used the slip that was colored, and I did put the slip on a little bit on the thick side. Had I been able to get it just in the lines, I would have done that. I was using a chubbier brush though. And now I'm just scraping off the rest of this and the lines, and I'm trying to be careful around the one textured panel. All right, scraped off quite a bit. Now I'm again going to do a final wipe, clean areas of a sponge. The thing that I think is so cool about the Mishama is you can get a perfectly smooth surface to it, okay, and you can just get fine, sharp line and details that you would have a lot of difficulty doing otherwise. I just think it's a really fun technique. Again, this clay doesn't have grog, so I highly recommend a clay that doesn't have grog in order to do this technique. I think grog would end up by having a real scratchy appearance. I have one at school where I experimented with the clay body that we have at school, and it was not good because it was very scratchy and hard to clean up. So, underglaze versus slip. I have to say I definitely like the slip better because I feel like the slip filled the cracks more, although you can still do the technique with underglaze.